Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Life with Sarge. My name is Sarah, aka Sarge, and today's episode has been highly requested. A lot of people were asking me about anxiety, and so I put up a poll on my Instagram account and asked you guys to ask me questions regarding anxiety. And I'm going to base it on basically my own personal experiences, but I do have friends that suffer from anxiety, and so I'll kind of put in a bit of what I know about like what they have suffered from. So let's just get into it. I am going to be looking off to the side at my tablet to go through all the questions and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not being rude. I'm just reading the questions. Okay, so the first person asked, what causes an episode? Okay, now I'm not too sure if they're causing just that, if they're talking about just the anxiety, or if they're talking about the panic attack that may lead after it. So I will cover both. Regarding the anxiety, some of the symptoms that I personally feel that I get are my heart rate will increase. I will have shortness of breath, so I'll feel like I'm struggling to breathe. I'll often get lightheaded and I'll need to sit down because it really feels like I'm going to pass out. I often feel like I have this huge pressure on my chest, and then that leads to me not being able to breathe. Then just like anxious thoughts throughout the day eventually lead to anxious thoughts throughout the night, where I have trouble sleeping and I cannot fall asleep no matter. I mean, and I'm pretty sure everybody that deals with stress and stuff like that, you have those nights where you've got a meeting in the morning and you cannot sleep because you're afraid that this meeting is going to go badly. So with regards to that, sleeping is a huge issue. I'm sorry about the vacuum in the background. You know, we have to continue doing our jobs even though we're working from home. Although this isn't technically a job, this is just a side gig that I hope will help people. Then another thing is my nervous system will feel like it's not safe, and so I kind of want to be like a tortoise and just go hide away. That is a huge thing for me, and it's something that I recently just learned about: central vagal nervous system. I'm going to pause quickly because my dog wants to join me. Just hold on. Okay, I'm back. There he is. This is Billy. Where was I? Oh, the central vagal nervous system. It is so interesting. I still need to get through the whole like podcast book type thing, but it's blown my mind and it's made me look at anxiety in a different way. Let's see, what else do I have trouble with? If I'm in a scenario where I am scared of what's going to happen, because I don't deal well in like social environments. If I'm not with people that I feel safe with, I'll like start to tremble, start to shake, and I just want to like bolt and get out of there. There will be changes in my appetite, so either I will not want to eat at all, or I'll like start binge eating, and that's not good. Sometimes nausea will be an aspect, but it's more the sense of like butterflies in my stomach are like fluttering, but like the really uncomfortable nervous kind, not like the romantic kind. And then I definitely suffer from muscle aches and pains. So yeah, just to clarify, people with anxiety won't necessarily suffer with the symptoms that I suffer from, and there are some I've experienced since I was diagnosed with severe anxiety. So when I was younger, I was completely shy. I refused to do orals. I wouldn't speak up. I would know the answer to questions the teacher would ask, but I would never put up my hand, raise my hand. Um, so yes, there's that. So obviously as I got older and the more stressful environments I was kind of put in, I became a lot more anxious. And then I'm just gonna mention, I think there's about three things that aspects that I don't suffer with personally, but could be related to the question that this person asked. Um, Tingling or numbness of body parts, dry mouth, sweating or blushing. Now, the sweating um, will only happen to me with regards to a panic attack, and it's for me the panic attack is pretty much the same symptoms I mentioned before. Like my heart rate will increase. I will have shortness of breath. I will often get lightheaded. Pretty much like majority of my panic attacks, I'm like lightheaded and I need to sit down and do the deep breaths in and out, in and out. It's basically when your nervous system starts to feel unsafe and goes into full panic mode and it doesn't know what to do. And yeah, that's where I pant, I cannot breathe, and that is, like I said before, where the sweating comes in. Now, what I find personally helps me is a really good distraction. And I would often get panic attacks at work. And now looking back at it, that was like a major red flag for me to say, okay, maybe this environment isn't healthy for you. But what I would do is we had this, because Montessori is an amazing teaching method. I'm just going to put that out there for anybody that's looking into schools for their children, especially the younger ones. Montessori method, I approve. They have in the culture section, they will have the continent puzzles. So I would always take the Africa puzzle, which has like 56 countries, if I remember correctly, and they're not labeled, but there is like a cheat sheet or a control of error, as they call it in the classroom. But I would basically just remove all those 56 pieces, and then it would literally take me 30 to 40 minutes to put it back together. But once I was done with that puzzle, I felt calm enough to return back to that environment. If I didn't feel calm enough and I still felt on edge and I still felt like I wasn't in the right headspace to return to that environment, then I would do the puzzle again and again. And thankfully, my colleagues and bosses at the time knew what I was going through, and so they understood and they actually allowed me that time, which was very kind of them. And looking back, I really appreciate it. I did thank them at the time, obviously, but I mean, you don't have colleagues and bosses like that. So I was blessed once again with a great support system at the previous school I worked at. And then when I started going to see a psychologist, my therapist mentioned the deep breathing thing, and I said, yeah, I've tried that, but I feel like it just makes it worse, because when I'm like already heavy breathing, I feel like I can't control the way I'm supposed to be breathing. And she's like, okay, well, let's try the senses method. And basically it's as you would guess, you have 5 senses, so it's see, touch, taste, hear, and smell. And you would go to an environment that isn't or is away from where you feel anxious. And so typically they would be outside, and you'd be like, okay, let's start with quite a tricky one, smell. And you'd be looking around, and there's pretty much nothing that you can smell, unless you can smell like fresh grass that's been like mowed. But for instance, let's just say you're looking up and, oh, there's a lemon tree, and you could be like, okay, well, lemons have like a citrusy kind of smell, and they taste sour, so you've kind of like knocked off 2 birds with 1 stone there. And then for sea, you could be like, okay, well, I can see the sky, I can see the grass, I can see the birds, I can see trees, I can see leaves, and you're just kind of distracting yourself from what was really bothering you before. For touch, you could literally be like, okay, I can feel the texture of my pants, I can feel the grass, Um, I, what else could you feel? Let me go to my notes because I did make a list of things. Oh, do you know what I would do? To calm myself down, I would kind of like trail my fingers along like my skin of my body. And so I would be like, okay, my skin feels soft today. I moisturize. Good on you, Sarah. Um, and then with regards to here, I could hear children playing, I could hear children laughing, I could hear birds chirping, I could hear leaves rustling. Um, Another thing that could be added to the smell list is the smell of fresh grass, like I mentioned, with the mowing. Um, and lunch being made in the kitchen of the school. Like, all these things. I mean, you could literally do it wherever you are and just, even if it's one thing, it doesn't have to be a list of things, but if it could be one thing, and by the time you have finished distracting yourself, you've kind of forgotten what you were anxious about. Or in most cases, you were like, why did that make me anxious? And you can kind of start questioning what triggers your anxiety and stuff like that. And I was able to start doing that. I would be like, okay, well, when children, especially children, like would or like bombard you, that's when like my anxiety would like go over the top, because you just like wanted by like 7 children and they're like, teacher Sarah, teacher Sarah, teacher Sarah. Once again, you can only talk to one child at a time, and they're what, like 2, 3, 4, 5, and they don't understand like that they need to be patient. I mean, some do, and some put like their hand on your shoulder and they know that method, but or on your hip if you're standing, but majority of the time they want your attention right then, right now, type thing. And then obviously the environment that you're in is a huge factor, and I've learned that the hard way. But personally for me, if I'm not able to be distracted, I will, or do the senses method, I'll remove myself completely from where I am. Because then it's the environment, and there's no way of me kind of dealing with it. There's also meditation, although personally when I am having a panic attack, the meditation doesn't work for me. I can't like go sit down and kind of clear my head, because my mind is racing with these thoughts that are driving me absolutely crazy. And now we are like almost 13 minutes in, and we are going to move into question 2. I'm sorry this is going to be a very long one, but hopefully it will be a very educational one. So there's that. Okay, the second question asks, what causes anxiety? Okay, I'm going to have to speak personally on this because I'm not a psychologist. I didn't study this. I'm not a therapist. Or psychologist or psychiatrist. Like, this is not my realm of expertise. I'm just going to go based on what I know. So for me, it's either stress or trauma. Yeah. And then that is based on also what friends have told me and what we've spoken about. So stressful situations, or if you feel uncomfortable, that could bring that out as well. So yeah, stress, trauma, you not being comfortable, all those situations can kind of heighten your anxiety. Okay, let's go to question 3. Would the pressure of not being where your peers are or were cause more anxiety for you? Wow, that is a great question, because where I am in my life, my friends are married, they are having children, and honestly, that anxiety aspect doesn't faze me at all. Like, I believe I'm on my own journey, on my own timeline, and as soon as you do start comparing yourself to other people, those anxious thoughts are going to get to you. They are going to unnecessarily get to you. You are on your own timeline. Everything happens like at a certain time for you, or that's what I believe anyway. And so don't compare yourself to other people's accomplishments, how far they are in their relationships. You need to do you, because if you focus on other people, like, where's your happiness? Like, you're honestly causing the anxiety. There's this great quote. I think I'm going to put it at the end because I don't want to get it wrong, but it's somewhere along the lines of like, anxiety is you thinking about the future, where you should kind of live in the present. I'm gonna definitely find that quote and put it at the end of the video, because I feel like it's very, very true, and very yeah, it's just gonna help a lot of people realize, like, I shouldn't be anxious about it. And although I know it and I'm aware of it, I'm kind of learning, like, I don't need to accept this, like, I don't need to be anxious about this, and I kind of move on a lot quicker. So hopefully that will help others too. Okay, question 4. Are anxiety and depression linked? Okay, not in all cases. It depends on your severity of anxiety. If someone is a highly anxious person, me, myself, and you get into that, like, rut of not, sorry, this lighting, I'm not a professional. If you get into this rut of not wanting to go out and just want to stay at home, and you don't have those people that kind of push you to be like, okay, let's just go for a walk, get you out of that rut, you can fall into a deep depression. And I have been there, and it was dark. And yeah, I just had great people around me that kind of encouraged me to get out of that dark space. So I wouldn't say in all cases it's related, but in some cases it can be. Okay, next question. Does anxiety cause you to get aggressive? I personally cannot answer that, as I have never felt anger or aggression when I have been dealing with anxiety. But I have felt sad and depressed. So I think it depends on the person and what they're going through. Yeah, and the situation. I mean, that's the best I can answer. Does exercise help reduce your anxiety? That, yes, that it definitely does. Even if it's, if you're not a gym person, just going for a walk, clearing your mind, fresh air, that 100% just, I don't know what the fresh air does. If it's like, I want to say dopamine, but I could be incorrect. So yeah, it's something about fresh air, exercises. It just releases like these happy endorphins. Maybe that's the correct word. Where it just puts you in a better mindset, even if it's just for that period of time, and you will come home and you will feel a lot happier for a longer period of time. And if you consistently start doing that, you're going to be happier for even longer. So yes, I'll definitely say exercise helps reduce your anxiety. What else can I do to avoid experiencing anxiety? Okay, this is easy for me to say because I don't drink, but I would say drinking is a huge thing. Obviously, the use of drugs. Not in terms of like chronic medication, but like in terms of like the hardcore stuff. Sometimes even the legal green devil's lettuce, as we call it. I don't know what I can and can't say on YouTube yet. I'm still kind of learning. Even that, I mean, if you are already anxious or paranoid and you start, doing that, it's gonna make it worse. And I feel like drinking kind of does the same thing. Your brain goes into a different kind of like world where you're not the same person, and so it could go in both ways. But I personally would avoid drugs and alcohol. And then also for me personally, I learned that keeping a strict sleeping schedule is the best. 7 to 8 hours daily is more than enough for you to get a good night's sleep. And then for those people that do suffer with anxiety and I haven't quite answered your questions, just do more research, look it up, it's online, and you can be aware. I think we have one more question. Yes, we have one more question and then we are done, guys. I won't take up much more of your time. If you have made it this far, thank you. How can I calm down quickly from an attack? So I'm assuming this is a panic attack. Take a cold shower if you're at home. That helps and does wonders. Write down your thoughts in a notebook. I honestly like journal. Just if you have these thoughts, write them down, and it's almost like you telling somebody about it if you're not comfortable with telling somebody about your thoughts and stuff like that. If you are comfortable, talk to somebody. You won't believe how many people there are in your life that are suffering from the same thing, and if you just have an open conversation with your friends, you will find that there are more than like 3 or 4 people in your like close circle that are going through the exact same thing, and if you had never brought it up, you would have never known. So thankfully I won't mention names because it's kind of personal, and but thankfully I have people that I can talk to about it, and I'm open and honest with them. And then I have this really, really, really close person who I'll be like, okay, listen, I need your advice on this and I need your advice on that, and he'll give me like natural stuff to take instead of taking the stuff that like my neurologist or the psychologist would have given to me. And believe it or not, that does help. And I know of friends that have spoken to that same person that are taking it, and they have seen a change as well. So yes, speaking to people who you know will be there for you and understands what you're going through. That is a must. I feel like you need to at least have one person. Okay. Somebody asks, is anxiety something you can get rid of? I don't think so. I just think it gets to the point where it's manageable. But once again, I'm not an expert. This is just, looking back, I've dealt with it from a young age, and it's just kind of gotten worse over the years. So, if I can manage it, who knows? Maybe my anxiety will go away and I'll kind of outgrow like not needing to worry and stress over the small things. Let's see. I think that is it. Just another tip for people that are dealing with anxiety. Sorry if I'm rubbing my nose. I'm dealing with allergies. This little monkey over there wants to sleep in my bed, and he's destroying my eyes, and like my allergies are all packed up, so I apologize for wiping my nose constantly. My last tip is you cannot please everybody, and I had to learn this the hard way. You are allowed to say no. If you don't want to go out, just say no. I feel like staying in today, and your friends cannot be mad at you for that. You can just be like, you know what, I'm not in the best headspace, I'm going to stay home. Or you don't even have to tell them that. You can just tell them, you know what, I'm going to pass. Like, enjoy your night out and I'll catch you the next time. So, please don't feel the need like you need to please everybody, because you are allowed to say no, and pleasing everyone is not going to benefit your mental health. So with that being said, remember, be kind, you are loved, and don't be so hard on yourself. If you enjoyed this video and have any other questions regarding anxiety, message me on Life with Sarge on Instagram, comment down below if this did help you. Please, I need like some form of, not validation, but some form of me knowing that it's actually like helping people. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, And thanks for listening to this extra long video. I really appreciate it. Bye.